up, brother, man?
We are here.
We are here, man, and
New location.
yes, sir, man. New
New
beginnings.
chairs?
New beginnings, man. New beginnings. My brother here is climbing up the ladder, man. I like what he's doing, man. He got a whole new space, whole new upgrade in life. It's a beautiful thing, man. How you feel about the space, man?
I love it. It's kind of tying a lot of things that we've been pushing for over the past couple of years.
Yep.
We hit a lull over the past 2 months, and
Yep.
it just kind of feels like everybody was in a rut. And then this opportunity came along for us to kind of get into a new space, and we took it, and we're here, and
Yeah.
it feels good, and it's exactly what we needed. So
No, I like it, man. Sometimes you need that change of scenery to it's kind of light the fire back,
Right.
man. So no, I'm definitely proud of you, man, and proud of the team, and y'all, like I said, man, y'all killing it, man.
yeah, we're trying to, bro. We're gonna see where the next 6 months takes us. 5 months takes us.
Yep.
For the rest of the year, and then we'll see what that looks like.
All right, man. All right, man. Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, families and friends, to the Three Pillars of Man. I'm your host, Alex James.
And Addison Corbin.
And today we're going to start a little series. We like to call it the Daily Stoic series. It's based on a book that me and my brother here, we both read, called the Daily Stoic. Essentially, it's like 365 meditations, so you can read throughout the year, one meditation a day. And it has been impactful for us because it just gives you something to, meditate on the day. And so, knowing we like to read it in the beginning of our day, like to examine it, digest it, and then act on it. And so today's episode, we're going to talk about a particular meditation that I want to really do more of a deep dive in. And so the title of this episode is called Think Straight, Act Right, and Want Less. And the quote that I'm about to say here is, there are three areas in which the person who would be wise and good must be trained: desire and aversion, action and impulse, and judgment. And what I'm going to do here is just give y'all a simple explanation on the three training areas, just so everyone has a clear understanding of what we're going to dive into today. So the first training area is your desires and aversions. Simply, all this is saying is stop chasing things you can't control and stop fearing things that aren't really threats. Essentially, what this means is this is about wanting the right things. Most of our stress comes from craving things we have no control over, like other people's opinions, promotions, or how a situation turns out. We also waste energy avoiding things like failure, criticism, or discomfort, even though we can't escape them entirely. So I'm gonna stop here because we'll go over the next two, but want to just kind of give simple explanation for everybody on the first training area. And my brother, as I always like to do, based on what I just gave there to yourself in the audience, what does the first training area, how does that, what does that mean to you, and how does it resonate with you in your daily life?
So there's a lot to unpack there, right?
Yep.
My biggest thing is kind of what we built this podcast around.
Yeah.
Was to be able to bring that stoic mindset forward, right? Not letting things affect you as hard,
right?
External things,
right?
And then being able to understand when you are being influenced by the exterior, right? And then being able to make your own judgment call on what to do,
right?
So I think that kind of applies from what we're talking about today. Was there's a few things about how that is applicable to kind of what we're talking about. So yeah, that would be my thought. Those are going to be my two that I'm going to be more focused on having a conversation with.
Yeah. One, just I think we first have to understand what's have realistic expectations about things. Sometimes I think when we have unrealistic expectations about certain situations, we tend to get uh, upset
Yeah.
when things don't go our way, especially like external things. I know for me, I really just, and I feel like I've gotten better over the years because I'm such a perfectionist where, I want things to go, okay, we're going to have plan A, B, C, D, E, and we have to follow it, you know, simultaneously, and we have to follow it in order and everything. But
Yeah.
sometimes in life, that does not happen for us. And so I think the thing I've grown in the area I've grown in is, definitely have a plan and definitely have realistic expectations to your plan as well. And I think when establishing those expectations, you have to really assess, like, okay, what are the factors that are in my control,
Yeah.
like me being on time, me, um, just things that I can control versus like, okay, what's out of my control, like,
Right.
just for example, like just getting to work, right? I can control waking up early. I can control, if I know I have a busy day, I can go work out in the morning before I hit the work, before I go to work. Those are things that I can control. I can control how I dress. I can control, what I eat, all that. I cannot control that when I get on the highway that there's an accident on 285.
Right.
And so sometimes those things happen. And if we're not careful, it can really just throw off your whole day.
Yeah.
And I've been a victim to that where, you're, you know, something happens that's unexpected. You could have planned it to the T, and things just happen. But I think what I really have learned from just from reading just the Daily Stoic and just just through our podcast is just like, hey, look, it was out of your control, man. Like you did everything right. You woke up early. You got dressed. You took a shot. You did everything in your control. You couldn't control somebody getting into an accident on 285. Don't let something like that you that you have no control over throw off your whole day. So I want to ask you, why why is it so hard for us and just our listeners, or just people in general, to let external shit throw us off?
Well, I mean, it's hard not to, right? Like the normal natural instinct is when something goes bad, you want to be upset. You want to let emotions take over.
Right.
We are naturally, some more than others, but naturally emotional creatures, right? That's what separates us from a dog,
Right.
or that is what separates us from, whatever blank animal, right? Like that. That's the idea of being able to react, being able to understand why we're reacting, of being able to understand that we are emotional beings,
Right.
And whether that's higher for some, right, or lower for some, there's still that natural baseline there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's. Oh yeah. You said it perfectly, man. It's just like you said, it's just a natural reaction, which is why it's so hard because we are naturally wired to, you know, just get upset or get sad or whatever emotion comes in play based on the situation. We That just naturally happens for us. And so I think that's what the Daily Stoic teaches us. It's like, which is going to lead us into our next training area, where essentially we have to essentially think
Mm-hmm.
before we act.
Process emotion.
Process your emotion, and then once you process it, then act on whatever you just processed. And so I want to ask you, bro, what into this next training area where it's thinking before we act. What does, like, if something happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
One, are you aware of like your processing, and then two, how does that processing look for you when a essentially a plan goes off course?
So, I mean, I think it comes down to how you're breaking down your plan.
Yeah.
right? Because ultimately, if we've done our job correctly, let's just talk about business right now, or personal, right? There's the idea that we can have that conversation about what's actually happening, right? So, number one, we do it inside. Like if I've got a big problem that I got to break down, I call it a 1-3-1. What is the actual problem? What are 3 solutions to that problem? And then what is 1 recommendation for either me or yourself? Okay. Right. So let's do this real quick. I did this the other night with Zyra. Let's say that you've got to go to work. You recently have gone out to what? You went out into the field or something like that?
Yeah, go to.
So let's say you had to go to a plant, but they weren't allowing safety hats, or they ran out of safety hats. But it's a mandatory that you wear safeties. Let's say that you go out there and you don't have yours, and they aren't handing any out. What is the actual problem?
Well, the actual problem is they don't have. They ran out of safety hats. The actual problem is I didn't bring mine. Yeah, I didn't bring my own hard hat.
So sure, right? Yeah. That's the ownership mindset of it.
Right.
But the actual problem in this scenario is the fact that you can't do your job safely.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So beyond the reason why, or beyond the situations at hand, you can't do your job safely.
Right. Because of this.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the root of the problem.
Root cause.
What are the 3 things, or the 3 solutions to your problem right now?
Well, I can't do my job safely. And you said what are the 3?
Just give me 3 solutions to the problem.
3 solutions to the problem. First solution, if I can't do my job safely, 1, I don't do the job. That's a potential solution. Let me say this: I can't do the job until I get my hard hat or all my safety equipment, etc. Second solution.
But that's not a solution, right?
Wait, say one.
What you just gave me wasn't a solution. You're just naming additional problems.
I didn't think of it like that. Yeah.
So 3 solutions.
3 solutions. So I can't. The root cause, I can't do my job safely. So solution 1, find a hard hat. Can we say that's a solution?
For sure.
Okay, find the hard hat so I can do my job. 2, call the supervisor of the plant, see if they got a hard hat or extra one, whatever. The third one, borrow somebody's hard hat at the plant.
Okay.
Personnel, yeah.
All right, so we came up with 3 solutions to the problem.
Right.
So now we've got a bare minimum to go from.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Now we can rate. There's the next one would be a recommendation, right? So the recommendation, you ultimately, what do you need to do now is what this answers. Right? So out of the 3 options that you just gave me,
right,
what is the 1 solution that actually is going to work? Or how do we build a plan out now?
How do we build a plan out from the solutions I gave?
What is the first thing that we need to do?
The first thing we would need to do, based on my 3 solutions, which is
the first thing you gave me was find a hard hat.
2, ask us supervisor if they have extra ones in their storage, or 3, I'll just borrow.
Right.
somebody that's not out in the field.
So what do we have to do?
We have to find a hard hat.
What is the process of finding that hard hat? What is the first thing that we have to do?
Get a hard hat. Well, we gotta do the job. Do the job safe.
No. In order for us to do our job safely, we've got to find a hard hat.
Right.
The 3 solutions you gave me were find a hard hat.
Yeah, right.
Call a supervisor.
Right. Or borrow somebody. Yeah.
Okay, so we have that. What is the first thing that we've got to do to get a hard hat?
The first thing I gotta do.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing I gotta do to get a hard hat is get a
hard hat.
Yeah.
Call a supervisor.
Yeah.
Find a hard hat from, or borrow a hard hat from somebody. So
Right.
what is the first thing? The first thing that we have got to do moving forward.
Moving forward,
To be able to move forward.
is accept that I don't have a hard hat.
We've already done that. Bro, we got to call the supervisor. We got to pick up the phone.
Right. Okay.
You see where I'm headed?
Yeah.
Pick up the phone, call the supervisor. Supervisor says, bro, you should have brought your own hard hat. I can't help you. What now?
Then I need to borrow somebody's hard hat.
Right. So what do we got to do now?
Ask somebody.
We got to start. We still got to move in action.
Right.
So ultimately, with the whole purpose of this conversation, right?
Yep.
Is a lot of people get stuck in trying to actually figure out the problem.
Right. In that loop. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so you were getting stuck in the loop of pre-action.
Like a paralysis analysis.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's where you were stuck.
Right.
Which, because you like to have things perfect, you like to be able to, formulate the plan.
Right.
That's the process of formulating plans.
Right.
And it sometimes you can't see it because you're inside of it. And I'm asking you the questions and I'm like, dude, and you don't want to get it wrong.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So and a lot of this kind of what helps with this is a board. Having a board, writing out the problem, right? Mm-hmm. Or putting it, maybe not putting it on your phone. That's a little bit harder to do. But you could. But having something where you can just write down, or have something where you can build out the problem with the one, understanding what the actual problem is. Don't have a hard hat. What do I need to do? Find a hard hat. How do I find a hard hat? Boom.
Yeah.
And then now I've got my 3 solutions. Now I got to pick.
Yeah.
And then once I pick, I need to make action.
Right.
And it is the easiest, it is the easiest, or let me say the simplest way to solve problems. And now, what did you just simply do? The first one, not really a solution, right? But
I feel like the first solution was like, it was like an ownership, like, okay, I have a job here, I need to get a hard hat. So it was like you're owning.
Right. You own the problem, right? But we're already owning the problem by trying to solve it.
Yeah, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So, but ultimately, the calling of the supervisor, that is the first actual solution. So that's what we have to do, right? So the supervisor says, not my problem, it's your problem, right? Now you have plan B. Mm-hmm. What is plan B?
Yeah, I gotta see if I can borrow somebody's, or
you go to bro, and he's like, hey, I left mine at home.
I left mine, yeah. Right? Or hey, sorry, I don't lend out my hard hat.
Now naturally in the process, other than find a hard hat, we would have a third solution. But we've already created the pattern of solving the problem, which ultimately kind of gets you down the road of solving problems. So the reason I bring this up is so that you mentioned like problem solving, or you mentioned
thinking before you act. Thinking before you act.
Yeah, your plan, it doesn't go the way you want it to. Right. So you call the supervisor, didn't go the way you wanted it to. Mm-hmm. Bro doesn't have a hard hat, didn't go the way you wanted it to. Right. Ultimately, going down the process of the problem loop, or the problem framework, gets you to that point of, okay, if I stop now, I still can't do my job. So it kind of takes that external, like, you're probably going to get frustrated, right? Because you forgot your hat. You reached out to the supervisor's not helping you. You reached out to your bro. He can't help
He
you.
said no.
Right. And so you ultimately are getting frustrated. But if you continuously have solutions to problems,
Yeah.
right, and
Yeah.
understanding the fact of, hey, it's not going to go my way all the time.
Right.
I can now continue to keep solving problems without having that emotional bandwidth.
Do you feel like emotion contributes to that? I guess
emotion is confusing, dude.
Yeah, yeah. To that analysis paralysis where it's like because of a situation where you don't have a hard hat. Now you're frustrated, like, damn, I can't do this job.
Right.
Or
you're scared you're gonna get fired.
Fired,
You're
right.
scared you're gonna have to call
right. Now fear's coming in. Now anxiety, everything's coming in.
You didn't want to give me the wrong answer because
right,
you didn't want to look silly. Like
right.
that whole process starts to happen. And we all, like, I fell into my easiest emotion, which was frustration, yesterday. Having a conversation with Zyra, right? Yeah. I let my emotions kind of get a little bit higher. Right. And I'm like, because I preconceived a conversation that we had. And I was already had it in a framework of it wasn't going to be, she was calling me to have a conversation with me. Yeah. And I was like, she's calling me because she just wants to, complain about something or whatever. And that's not her. Right. Right. But I had a preconceived notion about the conversation, which led the conversation down the road that it just was not good. Right. So I'm yelling at her, she's yelling at me, and we boom, 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 boom. We're raising the bars.
Yeah. So it in that example, right? And this is going to lead to the third and final training area. The thoughts that are while you're, in this dispute, right? I'm assuming there are certain thoughts that are happening simultaneously while you're interacting with Zyra. How do you not how do I put this? How do you not let your thoughts win? And but what I mean is like y'all are having a dispute, an argument, and like let's say in your mind you're like, yeah, she's not fucking understanding what I'm saying. Blah blah. She's not. She's this. She's that. She's that. How do you not let those thoughts win and let those come out in like a dispute or an argument?
So, number one, we have got to understand where they're coming from.
Yeah.
Right. Because something that her and I, we got into a disagreement. It wasn't even a disagreement. She was upset about something that ultimately I had caused from my actions. Right. I showed up late to her finish line run. Yeah. So like I dropped her off. She took off running, and I got lost in they had shut down certain roads after we had parked. And so I'm trying to cut through Atlanta, and she had sent me the map knowing that I was going to need it. Yeah. And I look at the map and I'm like, I thought it was just a map of the run. Right. I wasn't looking at the actual roads. And so they shut down the road. I'm driving through the parking lot trying to get out. I come out, I go out the wrong way. Cop turns me around. I got to go back through the parking lot, pay again. Like, so I'm going through this cycle, right? Yeah. And I'm already like, bro, I'm going to be so late, like to the finish line, whatever. And ultimately it was my fault because I got hung up working in my car before I left for like 10 minutes. Yep. And if I would have left immediately, I wouldn't have had to worry about time. Right. Yes. So I'm already in this mindset of like frustration and like I'm pissed at
now the process of speeding up.
Right.
You have the
and I'm getting lost in the sauce.
Right.
Like real quick.
Right.
And I pull up and I'm getting ready to pull up. No parking. Right. Yeah. Because it was the 4th of July run. Yep. Of course there's no parking. Right. Right. I didn't think about it. I've never been to a run before. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And so I'm over here just like, man, She calls me. Hey, I'm finishing. Where are you at? And I'm like, oh shit. And I'm like, I'm parking. And she was just like, I could just see like the disappointment. I was like, I'm disappointed in myself. She's disappointed in me. And I'm like, bro, whatever, right? I finally find a parking spot, move to go find her, whatever. Yep. Long story short, she's upset. And I'm like, I'd already not handled the situation correctly,
Mm-hmm.
right? Obviously being late and whatever. But I'm so frustrated with myself. I'm already internal,
Yeah,
right?
you're
The
already.
thoughts are winning.
Yeah.
And then she's upset and she's kind of getting on to me like, I wish you would have been there. I'm
And
disappointed.
then that's feeding into the internal
Mhm.
even more. Yeah.
And then so she's sitting there talking about how, she has these feelings of like da da da.
Yep.
And I'm like, I'm just internal, beating myself up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then which is translating to her, like
Yeah.
I'm not listening to her and I'm not present.
Because the thoughts
Mhm.
have essentially held you hostage to like you being present for
Yeah.
her. Yeah.
And so ultimately we get into a big disagreement. Like
Yeah.
just we're at each other's throats, and I'm gonna speed this process up. Like I get out of the car, I take a lap,
Yeah.
right? Come back, and I'm like, I'm even more frustrated because I just spent even more time inside those thoughts.
Yeah.
And I get back in the car, and I'm like, I'm frustrated, dude. I got showings to go to. Like I've already tried to cram everything into one. Fast forward, whatever. We get in a mad disagreement.
Yeah.
I move on about my day. I got showings. She ends up, whatever, hanging out with me for the rest of the day. I don't talk to her. She don't talk to me.
Yeah.
And then that night, I say all of that to say this.
Mm-hmm.
That night, she no. It was a couple days later, right? And we're sitting there having a conversation, and I'm like, man, I got this tomorrow. I got this tomorrow and this tomorrow. And she was like, ultimately, it kind of came down to a conversation of like, she wasn't feeling involved in things,
Yeah.
and there was too much space there.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, that came down to the fact of we got into a little bit of a disagreement.
Yeah.
And I was like, time out. We now have like a safe word for when we have got to pause the conversation.
Yeah.
And which I've never had that kind of conversation with somebody. So
Mm-hmm.
safe word. I say it, and I'm like, we need to. I'm realizing something as we're having this conversation, like why these things happened last weekend,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm realizing why this is happening right now. And we're sitting there having a conversation, and this is the point. I was like, you've been in past relationships where you've been hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in past relationships where I've been hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And we carry those things.
Absolutely.
And so when we run into an experience that, in a lack of better term, triggers what we're trying to trigger something in us,
Absolutely.
all of those previous external situations
Yep.
come up in us, and then we are not even arguing with each other. We don't even have a problem with each other.
So you argue with the past almost.
We are arguing with the past,
Yeah.
which is creating an argument with us because we think that we're having an argument, but in reality, it's everything that we went through prior to us.
Yep.
That is that is the real issue.
It's like she's arguing with her trauma, you're arguing with your trauma. But y'all essentially just talking at each other instead of like talking to each other and trying to resolve the issue. Yeah.
So fast forward to this, we had that conversation and that experience together,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, wow, that's eye opening. And then the other day happens, and I'm like, she brought it up. She was like, why would you even think that this was a negative conversation? She was like, I was calling to check in on you. And I was like, hold up. And she was like, remember what you talked about the other day? And I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
This is that moment of I'm putting stuff on you that's not even you.
Right.
And then my internal dialogue is gearing up.
Yeah.
And so ultimately this whole conversation is this.
Yeah.
Those are the things that are happening on a regular basis. And whether it's in a relationship or whether it's in business or whether it's in this or that, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
And so if you can start to recognize, like, am I arguing with this person or am I actually arguing with the past? Mm-hmm. That was a good point.
Yeah.
Then you can start to dissect problems quicker.
Yeah.
And
you recognize patterns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And having that safe word, bro, is genuinely as hard as it is, because she used it on me yesterday. And I was like, bro, I'm so mad right now, and you're calling it. And she's like, don't set a standard you can't uphold. And I was like, bro. And I'm like, all
Man.
right. I was like, all right, cool, I'm listening.
Yeah.
You got me.
Yeah.
As frustrated as I am, you got me.
Yeah.
And it kind of leveled the conversation a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then ultimately that night we had a little bit of a deeper dive. And I also may have a little bit of autism ultimately, because I have an emotional bandwidth that I don't have the same emotional bandwidth that she has.
Yeah.
And so I don't follow the same roller coaster that she does.
Right. You even kill.
And I kind of detach a lot more than she does.
Yes.
Which creates, she's feeling an emotion and I don't necessarily feel that emotion.
Do you not? And when I'm asking you this question, I'm asking myself this question too. Is it that we truly don't feel it, or we just internalize it?
No, genuinely, dude. There's moments where I don't feel the same that she feels. And I'm trying to get to a place of like, I understand your emotion, but I genuinely don't.
Yeah.
And there is an internal piece to that, right?
Right.
But there's some times where I'm just like, I'm not understanding what you're getting at.
Yeah.
Like 100%, I don't understand it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll say for me, it's honestly just thinking, like, just hearing you, it helped me to realize, like, I'm more of like trying to keep the poker face, but while she's externally peaks and valleys, I'm doing that more on the inside, where like I'm physically, what you're looking at is like, okay, he looks like he's not, but on the inside, I'm doing the same thing with you. But I think what has worked against me though sometimes is showing that poker face, and not just speaking my truth, like,
Yeah.
hey, I feel the same way you feel, and not like just because I feel like, because for me, right, and this goes into our last training area where we it's essentially like training your judgment, right, not letting your thoughts win, not believing what you're thinking, and ultimately, like for me, like a situation, me and Vanessa got into a car accident. I was driving, and I had essentially the car in front of me immediately braked, then I braked, and then someone ran, hit us from behind. So that whole day, like, we had to go to, we went to the hospital, get Vanessa checked out and everything. And mind you, I'm like being cool, but in my mind, I'm like, man, like, should I have? Because it was one of those things where, like, how you drive and you just kind of zone out. And even though, like, the car behind me hit me, but I knew in my mind, I was like, damn, I zoned out. So this isn't my fault. But I'm just going to keep it cool, like, because, I'm trying to make sure she's okay, and etc. So, we went to the hospital, she got checked out and everything. And so, like, towards the end of the day, I had went to drop her off at home, and she was like, you mind, you come and talk to my dad, just to, like, check in with him, just say, hey, like, everything's good. And I was sitting there, like, because I was already feeling like shit, I didn't want to go in. I was just like, I just want to go home, like, forget this happened. And so, like, there was a shame where I was like, I don't want to go and say, like, I don't want to have that conversation. So instead of me speaking my truth and saying, like, hey, look, I feel shameful that I put you in danger, whatever. I just was like, all right, man, whatever. I'll go in. And then um, that's when we in the car, we got into an argument, and she was just like, these type of situations, like I feel like, as a man, you should just talk to my dad and just say like, hey, took care of everything, etc., whatever. So now she's saying that now to your point, and I'm feeling even more now. My ego got a little bruised because like it's something about like when you arguing with your significant other, and they say like, well, as a man, you should da da.
Amen.
So not only am I like truly like beating myself up, but now
you disrespecting my manhood,
right,
unintentional,
right. And so got into a big argument and everything, and then, I went in there, talked to pops, and then the funny thing was like when I was leaving, I was like, hey, good night. He's like, hey man, good night. He's like, you good? I'm like, no, I'm all good, man. I'm just about to try to go home. He's like, hey man, like, so we'll make sure y'all good, man. I respect you, and I trust you had to handle. So we all good. And so when I got back in the car, I was like, okay, cool.
Damn right.
Damn right. Cool. But I say all that to say, man, like I get that, and that's like what you're saying with your situation with Z, where it's like, okay, like if I would have just won the situation where I gotta be more try not to zone out when I'm driving, because especially when you're just driving straight away. Um, I could have controlled that, but also you gotta don't try to be cool. Like you can be calm, but don't try to be cool.
Yeah,
like you can still be calm and say, "Hey, this is how I feel. I felt like a certain shame would put you in that situation, and so that was, I think that's the thing where it's like, and it really applies to our second training area where it's like, you know, speak your truth, and then accept and deal with like what's going to happen afterwards, right? So I think that's what I've been personally working on, is just like not trying to, not trying to be cool, where like, where like I'm not showing emotion, like I'm cool, calm, and collective. And I think that's what I've learned with like this Daily Stoic, where it's like being stoic doesn't mean you don't have emotion. Right. It just means you're able to process those emotions better. And when you process those emotions, you can act. Your actions will
be a little bit more clear.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but yeah, man. So overall, the three training areas. The first one is training desires and aversion. Simply, don't be so worried about external things that you cannot control. The main things you need to focus on what you can control. And like in this example that we both gave is, one, you could have controlled that in that situation with the marathon. You could have went there early or did a little bit more surveying. And then for me, is just, hey, just be more focused and try not to zone out when you're driving. So those are things we can focus on for that first training area. Second training area, think before you act. I think with us, we might think too much.
Yeah.
And process too much, where it can lead into this third training area where sometimes when we try to process and think too much, those thoughts, especially in a high emotional like situation, those thoughts can truly win to where like now, like how you were saying like, oh man, like I should have, you beating yourself up, but then you're really thinking about it, you're like, well, how did I come to this like immediate thought? Well, based on past experiences. So I think those are the biggest things is, don't be worried about what you can't control. Control what you can control. Two, think before you act. Don't get trapped in your thought though. Think about it and then just speak your truth, see what happens. And then on the third one, when you're in that process of thinking, don't let all thoughts are not good thoughts.
Yeah.
So make sure you can assess the thoughts that can benefit the situation, and then try to exclude those bad thoughts, those doubts that will make you want to beat yourself up. Um, easier said than done, but those are kind of three training areas that we went over today. So to wrap this up, my brother, based on what we talked about today, how can our listeners and viewers apply to our mind, body, and spirit?
It's a great question.
Hmm.
To be able to apply that to mind, body, and spirit, I think this one is another one of those that's kind of all encompassing.
Yeah.
Across the board. Because if you're doing these things and you are being conscious about how you are responding to things, how you're ultimately it's about being conscious, right? Like being present in the idea. And if you're conscious with one, your thoughts, you're being conscious with what you're actually trying to achieve. And three, you're being conscious in how that's being presented. You're ultimately doing better across the board, right? Because if you get caught up in the thoughts of like, I got to build the perfect workout plan, I got to do this, like you are going to get caught up. And if you're worried about what people are going to think about you at the gym or whatever, you're not actually proving any action. And then the action that you do choose may be how do you say it? May be overcome by the idea that there's other your thought process might be overcome with external factors that are not yours.
Yes.
And so ultimately that is applied to the body by not over processing things, not holding things in, not overthinking about things.
Yep.
Which can have its effect on your mind, body, and spirit.
Right.
Because, you start getting into those things, you get worked up, your stress levels go up. You're not taking care of your body that way.
Right.
You're not taking care of your mind because you're trapped in your mind.
Yes.
And you're not taking care of your spirit because you're not focused on releasing things. Right.
Yeah.
Part of praying is releasing things.
Yeah.
And so
being honest about things.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that's your soul. Right. Being true to who you are is that. And if you're stopping that from coming out, you're not actually improving anywhere.
Right.
Right. What about you?
I like that, man. I like how, I'm gonna say ditto, man. That's it's all about just, and this is what we've kind of tailored this podcast to, is just being conscious about everything you do, and just, understanding that one, hey, things are just going to happen. And there are things that we can control that leads to a certain outcome. And so those consequences happen because of those things that we can control. But then there's also things that we cannot control that we can't get caught up in that. And it's very hard not to, especially with like us being, where we plan things out. We make sure we have everything sorted out. And just because it doesn't go as planned, we have to make sure that we just give ourselves the ability to pivot. And so I think for from a mind standpoint is, one, understand what you can and cannot control. Do your best to plan whatever situation you're in. If it doesn't go your way, go through that whole scenario you just did with me, where, okay, if it's something that happened, all right, what's the root cause of the issue? What's the problem here? 3 solutions. Figure out what needs to be done, and then also don't don't accept an excuse as a solution, right? Because I think when I was doing the exercise, you're like, hey, you didn't give me a solution. You just told me more about the problem.
Right.
Or you're really giving me the same problem, just you said it in a different way.
Right.
So I think those are the biggest things is just understanding like, and I think also like with us, talking about, past traumas and everything, you gotta make peace with those type of things that have happened to you, because whether you know it or not, those things do come up in personal relationships, business, and just everyday life. So, like we always said in previous episodes, and face those uncomfortable truths about yourself. And like you said in the last episode, the more you can face those uncomfortable truths about yourself, the more effective you are. Body. I look at the body aspect of it as just putting things in action.
Yeah.
Once you process something, once you've uh, you know, created those, identified the problem and you've laid out those solutions. Now it's just time to put those in action.
Yeah.
Don't get caught up so much in the mind where you can't allow the body to actually put the things in action.
Right.
So the body part of this is just putting things in action. Once you've processed it, once you've had those honest thoughts and honest, opinions about yourself, the situation that you're in, and once you've accepted ownership of that situation, now it's time to put that in action. And then your soul, your spirit. I think the spirit part of it is like we said, like you gave the example of praying. Praying is about just being honest and releasing. And the first person you need to be honest with is yourself. If you're not honest with yourself, I believe there's no way you can be honest with people. There's absolutely no way you can be honest with people if you're not honest with yourself. So, as far as the spirit aspect, make sure you're honest with yourself. Make sure you're honest with what you're thinking, how you're feeling. Don't try to be too cool. You can be calm, but don't try to be cool with your emotions. Accept it, own them, think about them, process them. But when it comes to the action part of it, make sure that the actions, and really just your actions, are aligned with your spirit.
Yeah.
That's the biggest things. So, my brother, that concludes our episode of Three Pillars of Man. Like I always say at the end of each episode, like, share, subscribe. Again, this is just two brothers having a authentic conversation about how we can have continuous improvement of the mind, body, and spirit. Have a good day. Love y'all.